Rick Rubin had some post like a couple of weeks ago about that, part of your journey will be to self-doubt what you do. And a thought came to my mind that actually self-doubt is rumbling of the unhealed childhood. And regardless of how many people talk about this, it's a really utmost relevant topic to be looked in and addressed, because as likewise the computer cannot process things differently if the software it's not upgraded. In the same way, the human being, regardless of the race and nation, cannot interact with the world and interpret themselves unless the software of the subconscious mind is changed, upgraded, but first brought to light and understanding. Since most of us are stuck in this rat race, in various ways, whether people are poor, middle class, or super rich, rare are those who really make their living doing something they love, because love, it's the highest form of abundance, at least for myself. So depending on what we focus on, so if we focus on a rat race, worries, anxieties, regardless of somebody's making €1,000 dollars or 1 million euros dollars a month, most of the time the focus is going out. So on the exterior situations, sorting out problems other people gave us at a business or from family members, partners. And look, as long as humans are stuck only in this way of living, or what Dr. Joe Dispenza would said the beta waves of the brain functioning, it's really difficult to feel this subconscious mind software installment we got. So my life was, still is, centered a lot around this inward journey. For many people, it wouldn't seem like that. I'm both extrovert and introvert. I traveled a lot and I met a lot of people and did a lot of stuff. But in order to heal the rumbling of self-doubt, sadness, anger, wrong perspectives, concepts, or the stale mind tendencies called vasana in Advaita teaching from India, I had to, and I was also luckily forced to spend a lot of time on my own. And also engaging in some different therapies, working with people, spiritual retreats, made me develop a high sense of intuition and ability to sense the messages coming both from the unhealed part of the childhood and also from the unknown, from the place where ideas and new things come, and also to be able to understand people. So going back to that initial thing of a self-doubt, a lot of people are stuck in the same positions in their lives, limiting their experience, hence limiting the ability to expand mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because of this self-doubt vibration that it's all the time there. Myself, I especially dealt with this haunting voices of you're not good enough, that's not gonna work, what do you think who you are to want that, and so on. In the last 4 years, as I engaged into various creative actions, learning to play a guitar for a while, that was journey on its own, learning to make clothes, getting into DJing last year, starting to write some stories about Archangel Michael, and just, exploring finally, because as a child, as many other people, I was criticized a lot and addressed in a way which really didn't encourage me to believe in myself. But luckily, due to my high-level intelligence, I survived by just focusing on school, because that was the only thing that was recognized as acceptable and desirable in the household I lived in. So, in case if you have these moments when you feel like, I would like to do that, and then the voice of the unhealed childhood, the self-doubt starts. But, maybe I'm not worthy enough, or no, like that's like making too many assumptions without empirical part of the journey. So the only way to heal the self-doubt is to actually be experimental. And you're now adult, you're not the child who was criticized and stopped by people who surrounded you. Now, in order to grow up, if that's what you want, of course you can stay at the level of the child that was unsupported. So it's also choice. But if you want to grow up and overcome the self-doubt, you need to become experimental. That's number one. And number two, one of the most important elements of your self-development, self-realization, is to become, and I have such difficulties pronouncing this word, vulnerable. Yeah, that's the word, vulnerable. So, to man up or hero up, or whatever, and be okay to feel the pain of your past, which will come in the form of self-doubt, anger, sadness, betrayal, disappointment. So you will have to be willing once you start becoming experimental, because once you become experimental, it's like continuing the journey you should have been on since your childhood, but it was stopped with the self-doubt. So once you start being experimental, in order to reach fully yourself, you will have to go through all the pain and suffering that was suppressed when you were a child. And that really is, for me, the only hero journey. It's not now being hero to go and die in a war and fight. Like, as a friend of mine said, this the spiritual war, it's the most freaking difficult war, because you never know from which side the enemy will strike you, like your mind and your all of these things from your subconscious part of yourself. So it's really the most heroic thing you can do, and actually that's the starting point of any change. People think we need to go into revolutions and fight onto the streets and stuff, but I said no. It's like everything is here. Unhealed human, unhealed nations, it all starts from each of us. And overcoming all the pain, all the stupid stuff which were impressed on us when we were kids, because unfortunately a lot of people don't love themselves, and most of people go into relationships and marriages expecting they will catch up in terms of the love by getting it from somebody else, and it's not working like that. And so anyway, people get stuck into this unhappy situation, because unhappy people cannot create happy situations and happy families and happy children. until they become aware they're unhappy and start to do something about it. Anyhow, the summary of this, if you feel self-doubt, it's not the truth about who you are. It's just a rumbling sound from your unhealed childhood. It's okay. Accept it. Try to look at yourself, as a parent and adult. You need it when you were a kid, and say, okay, I feel self-doubt, but let's experiment with this. Let's see if this is the truth of who I am, or it's just a strange sensation that I feel in my body, and it's just imaginary obstacle for me to do something that my heart would like to do, my soul would rejoice to do, the human I am would be thrilled to do, without, of course, deliberately endangering other people. But we cannot avoid conflicts and stuff, because you have to be who you are. You should be, actually. And in that way, you will contribute the most you can to humanity by becoming healthy, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually healthy and aware individual. As Tiny Chef would say, okay, I love you all, bye. I hope you got something useful for yourself from this video. Ciao.